1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yay! Welcome to another Global Podcast Editors Chats, courtesy of Podcast Editing Plus, a global online community. That's redundant. Podcasting is online. A global community of podcast editors. That's global. Yes, clearly I need to work on my elevator pitch. My name is Stephanie Fuccio. I am the host of these lives, as well as the creator of the Podcast Editing Plus newsletter, private LinkedIn community, podcast that will eventually be back up online for your ears, and so much more that is involved in the PEP space, Podcast Editing Plus. Ironically, comes to PEP when you anachronize it. That should be a verb, right? So let's go around and find out more about our wonderful two guests today for this global podcast editing chat. Helen, can you start us off?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Helen, and it does feel global, doesn't it? Because it's night for me. It is currently 9 p.m. at night in New Zealand. So I feel like we've got the global part covered. I am a podcast editor and podcast, I guess, I don't know, consultant. I don't know what to call myself. I just do podcasts. Podcasting is what I do.
Love that. Love that. Rachel?
Yeah, so my name is Rachel. Like Helen, labels are challenging. But I guess I would call myself a podcast editor, producer, and host. I do have my own podcast, and right, whether you want to call yourself a producer or not, if you're putting on your own podcast, then you are 100% a producer.
Own it. What's the name of your podcast, Rachel?
Sure. So my podcast is What the Finance.
Nice.
Which is started out as like personal finance, right? Like what do you do with the budget and all this stuff. But my co-host and I are I think it's fair to call us both policy nerds. And so it's kind of migrated into like, okay, so capitalism is the worst.
Yeah.
And what are some personal and policy fixes that we could advocate for that will make capitalism less terrible than it currently is? So that's where we're at with that right now.
Fantastic. And just for folks who might be joining us for the first time, whether it be live in the chat room soon or watching this video, Global Podcast Editor Chats happen about twice a month, and I will leave a link to more information. Our schedule changes every month because we're trying to go global by changing the time zones, which is not confusing at all. And so there's a list of the time zones through, I believe we have through November of this year, which is way more organized than I am in the rest of my life, on the website that I'm going to put there, as well as a form you can fill out to be a participant and join us here. We are very interested in having less representative voices, which is my new way that I'm experimenting with saying, hey, we need different faces, different voices, different people from around the world to join us here. And to be seen in podcast editing. It can be a one flavor kind of industry or space, depending on how you look at it. And I've had a lot of gelato where I am in Rome, Italy, so everything's going to be food referenced. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Anyway, I'll put that link in the chat room and in the video notes. I'm not going to call it show notes on a video. So we base our conversations, or at least we start our conversations in these chats, on what we're currently working on, following the Austin Kleon book that I am obsessed with, Show Your Work. It's talking about what you're currently working on and kind of diving into the sharing the process and the product and the pain of all of that. So we usually start out with pain because that's the most obvious. So Helen or Rachel, I'll just throw this out there. Is there any challenge or any like stumbling block that you're hitting right now that you can share with us?
So I think for a lot of early career folks, and that definitely describes me, just finding clients could be like a real challenge.
Yeah.
I was actually doing a training last night about like marketing podcasts, like digital marketing. And one of the participants said, I'm having trouble finding clients. And the training was otherwise super great. So I'm not going to name it since I'm throwing some shade here. But one of the panelists said, oh, everyone I know is looking for producers. Like, why are you having trouble finding work? And I'm like, that's not helpful.
No. Well,
No.
So yeah, so that finding client piece really is a challenge, right? Like I have one that pays me, but finding, right? Like it's a lot of work.
It is.
To find someone who's actually willing to pay you money to do this work.
Yeah. There's a very big difference between having the skills to do something and having someone who has the funds to pay you to do it. And a lot of people talk about the feast or famine thing. Like, and people warned me when I first started doing this 2 years ago. They're like, get ready now for when you hit that point when you're going to have too much work. And I was like, yeah, right. I was still at like $25 an episode, which is ridiculous. Oh my God, the pricing conversation is hard. And all this stuff, but it does happen. There's this tipping point when you're like still struggling. How can I find enough clients? I just want 5. Why is this so hard? And then boom, suddenly, now I'm too busy and I'm not sleeping because I'm trying to figure out how to do all of this while still having a life. But how do you get to that tipping point in a place that's financially comfortable and mentally comfortable and all that kind of stuff is really hard to tease out. So Helen, where do you fall on finding clients? That's a weird question. How are you with finding clients?
Yeah, it is a really funny one, I think. And what is really interesting for me is that, so I'd say 95% of my clients are in the US. I now have one in the UK and one in Australia, and I have one on hold because she went on maternity leave in New Zealand, but she's actually American. So it is a really strange thing. And so I think for me, the challenge has been I've networked a lot and trying to figure out who do I need to network with, who do I sort of start a relationship with that can help me sort of navigate this kind of work. But I think more locally, the challenge is that Kiwis have a very I'll do it myself DIY number 8 wire mentality, and so it really is that there is that gap of people kind of seeing the value in having someone else do it for you. And I feel like it's not even so much with the editing. I think that the nuance of being able to help them like market and do content and things like that, I don't think we're quite there yet here in terms of it being, oh wow, yeah, podcast seems like a really great like marketing funnel for me. Yeah.
It's hard to instill that or educate. I hate saying educate clients because they are generally aware. If they get to the point where they want to outsource to an editor, they are aware of marketing to some extent, whether they have a marketing person or they know they need to like have a brand or any of that stuff. There's some sort of marketing savvy with them at that point.
Yeah.
But for some reason, there's this gap between podcasting. I don't know, being there because I think podcasting's kind of stuck between a creative space and a business space. Yeah. And I think there's just some confusion with what to do with podcasts and how they can help businesses. Yeah. So there's a lot of talking to do in discovery calls with clients.
Right.
So how do you approach discovery calls with clients? Like, how do you know what to bring up to instill in them what you can do for them? Rachel, do you have like not a script, but like sort of like points that you hit on your discovery calls?
Yeah, so I guess I still am refining discovery calls because I haven't had that
Yeah.
many. Right, so you
Mhm.
kind of bootstrap it as you go along, if you will.
Mm.
What I really try to drive home in those calls is the time that I can save
Mhm.
for the content creator.
Yeah.
Right, whether that is with just, like straight up editing, right? I'm editing their content. I'm trying to make it sound good. Depending on the space you're recording in and
Yeah.
whatnot, because
Yep.
all that technical stuff, right? Echoing and what have you. But right, how much time can I save you by making your content sound great so that you can then go out and do other things for your
Mhm.
business?
Mm.
Because I think, right, like Helen, I feel like Americans are much of the same way as what you were talking about, right? With your, is that, right, like people have a really hard time accepting
Mhm.
that they can get help.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like Americans never want to admit that either. And that your time is also valuable, right? Like you don't have
Yeah.
to work yourself into the ground.
Yep.
And so like that is really the point that I try to drive home,
Yeah.
whether it's editing or show notes or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah. To let go of part of the process and let somebody else do it. Somebody else who does it more often, has more like depth to it. Like, just can give it to the expert. You don't have to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
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 That's a really, really good point. Helen, how about
It's
you? You were laughing along with that.
oh my god, yeah. I think it's really interesting because I have a love-hate relationship with discovery calls
Oh,
because
heck yeah.
I like part of me sort of thinks, yeah, like we can meet and stuff, but I sort of think at first I gave away too much information and I was too,
Mhm.
eager and stuff. And now I actually just Googled discovery call and got a really good sort of template and
Mhm.
follow that. And I really limit it to
Mhm.
15, 20 minutes. And I
Yes.
get right into what is your main problem and how can I solve that? Um, and I found recently as well, sort of going beyond, I can edit it for you. What I'm finding now is a lot of people really want to understand, well, how can I make this work for me? How do I get more downloads? How do I sell from my podcast? How do I raise my profile in this way? And I'm starting to sort of see that as being sort of like a carrot to dangle a little bit to sort of say, yeah, I can absolutely edit this for you and save you
Mhm.
time there. But what I can actually also do is help you make this like a really like strong part of your if it's for a business or if it's for a
Yeah.
you know
Mhm.
solo operator, how do I make this work for you and how do I help you make this
Mhm.
money,
Yeah.
yeah, so that
Yeah.
Yeah.
seems to be
I Helen, I really want to hone in on one part that you said is that you gave away too much. And I agree. And I had people asking for too much when I first started doing discovery calls. I literally had a man, sorry, I don't need to call him a man, but he was a man. I had him DM me and ask about the discovery calls and say, okay, I think I can ask all my questions within that time period. And I'm like, well, the whole point isn't for it to be a free consult. The whole point is for us to see if we can work together. And he
yeah.
didn't, I don't know if he didn't quite get that or if he just didn't care or I don't know what it was. But since
Mm.
then, I've actually used a bunch of resources that I've found. Shout out to the Podcast Editors Academy because they have templates for discovery calls. So I kind of
Yeah,
took that.
yeah.
I can never do anything exactly. So I took that and then I massaged a few
Yes.
stephisms into it and I'm still playing with it. I don't like discovery calls. I find them very
No.
awkward. I
Yeah.
love meeting new people. I hate meeting new people and talking about money in the same conversation. I find it
Mm.
very awkward. Even if I say I'll send you some package ideas afterwards, there's still that money element, which is really
Yeah.
sticky for me. But yeah, so I've actually put up some barriers to not having those people who just want free advice, which I
Yeah.
give anyway in lots of places online. But I'm like, no, you don't get one-on-one free advice for half an hour. That's not
Yeah.
really good business practice. Sorry, guys. So I've put up more I don't want to say barriers, but I think I just said barriers. More things they need to fill out before they even get the schedule link on my
Yes.
website to get more of the serious people who are looking for an editor, not just looking for free advice. Which feels kind of weird, but also protective. Like, I think
Yeah.
we have to kind of, you can do lead magnets and do things to attract the right client, but you also have to protect yourself from folks who really do just want tons of stuff for free. And I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's hard.
absolutely. Yeah,
hard,
and I
hard,
think
hard.
women often do give more of themselves,
Mhm.
Because I've been reading, I don't know if I've said this to Steph before, but because Kiwis are naturally, we're quite reserved people. We've got that sort of, insecurity of being a small nation colonized by the British, so we're all a bit uptight. And so this year I really thought I want to make this work. I want to make this business work. I want to make it, I guess, economically sound and all of that sort of thing. And so I've started reading books by Americans because you're far more rah-rah than we are and much more, you deserve to make money, just go out there and do it. And it's like, yes, I can do this. But I think one of the things that I have really taken on this year is that idea of outsourcing.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably part of what, I guess more people need to, sort of need to lean into that. Yeah, you don't have to do it all yourself.
Mhm.
And why on earth should you work yourself into the ground? That's not what life is about. So
Yeah.
I am leaning more into that sort of, I do want to have other people doing the stuff that I don't enjoy doing and not very good at, so I can focus on what I am good at, and that's okay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh,
Yes.
I went to a live stream. It was actually a lead magnet into a bigger course by Gordon Firemark, one of the podcast lawyers, entertainment lawyers in
yeah.
the space. And I think it was Go Legit was the name of the course, which seemed wonderful, but my own podcast is not necessarily a huge success. So I'm not in a place where I need to legally protect myself more than what I'm already doing. However, what he said ties into what you just said, Helen, which is he's like, from the beginning, actually map out your organizational chart for your podcast.
Yes.
And then as you have resources or time or people, then start distributing those roles so that you can focus on the content you want to do, that you do well, that only you can do. And it's that kind of bigger picture mindset that was just gorgeous to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I keep itemizing out like tiny tasks, but doing that bigger picture organizational thing sounds really cool. Is that something that you've done, Helen, in your plan to outsource?
So it's something I'm looking at, and that's come up, and I'm actually reading, I think this doesn't work for it going to podcast, but this book, it's called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber.
Yeah.
It's quite old in terms of things, but it's he talks a lot about that as well. And he really talks about the fact, and this has come up quite a few times in other resources that I've read, that you should be aiming to work on your business, not in your business. And even if you're not quite, And so he talks about the fact that most entrepreneurs are this mix of, what does he call it? The technician. So the person who, maybe you're really good at that one thing and you think, oh, someone could pay me to do this. But you actually need the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur to really, make that business work. Otherwise it can get very sort of tunnel visioned. And he talks about map out your organization chart of who should be, do you want, a vice president, your marketing manager, and all this sort of thing. And talking about, even if you're not there yet, even if it is just you and you're the vice president, the marketing manager, and all those things, he's talking about getting to the point where when you do get bigger, that it's really obvious to whoever comes into your business how your business works and what roles there are. So so that was my very roundabout way of saying it is something that I'm starting to do, of going, okay, well, what do I want this to look like? And who do I need to start bringing in? to help me do those things. Yeah.
That's so gorgeous. And a marketing class that I took last year online, I'm going to put it in the chat room, was by Ruth Sokup, and it was
Mm.
titled as a marketing course, but there was so much entrepreneurial organizational stuff in there too,
Yeah.
because she was saying a lot of the similar stuff. Stop doing everything. You're not going to expand or sleep if you keep
No.
doing everything. And I was like,
Right.
yes, I know. And I'm nowhere near having that level of organization, but I've got it in the back of my mind, and eventually it's
Yeah.
going to come forward.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
So we're still on one point of the of the first challenge that Rachel brought up. So Helen, what is your biggest pain point right now?
Oh God, what is it? It kind of is just, I think personally, in terms of, being very early in establishing a business, it is taking on board all the things that I need to do, and sort of looking at, well, how do I get enough clients so I'm earning that income that I can start paying somebody else to write my newsletter? Because I don't want to be writing it. And I don't want to be doing my social media because for me, like I have ADHD, and so that executive function stuff can be real up and down in a month. And so for me, I'm thinking about, I know what my strengths are. Now I need to surround myself with people who can support me in that and do the things that I don't, that aren't my strengths, but they're someone else's. So that's definitely part of it. And I think, it's a little bit of that, and a little bit of finding clients that want to go beyond editing, because I feel like, it is that sort of, we're not quite in that space yet of, like, say, a podcast strategist or consultant or producer being, like this kind of normal thing that a person might employ as part of their, I guess what they're doing. So I guess that's kind of, I'm in this sort of growth phase that feels really sort of overwhelming and confusing 99% of the time.
I don't think that ever goes away, especially in
Yeah.
a space that is morphing every day into a new creature. I saw somebody on one of the boards somewhere ask, what's the career trajectory for a producer recently? And I was just like, yes. The answer is yes. Where do you want to go? Like, there isn't, like, there's the podcast taxonomy, which tries to, itemize out the different tasks that we currently think of as podcasting. But I think AIR, oh gosh, I always forget what AIR stands for. Something international rep. Oh man. Anyway, they've got, I'll put that in the chat room. And they've got like different, what different roles are, that kind of thing. But honestly,
of course.
The difference between what people are saying are the roles, and the difference between what's hireable, what's consulting, like what actually exists in the freelance small business space versus bigger networks. There's so much confusion, but there's also so much opportunity. And so it's like, well, what can you do? What do people want you to do? What are they willing to pay you for? Like that Venn diagram of where that all fits together is complicated.
Yeah.
Rachel, what do you think? What's your relationship with this mess?
I mean, I'm just in it. I'm just in the soup. But I think, I guess one thing that kind of came to me as you were talking about this is like how we talk about all of these things. Like on my website, my tagline is story-driven podcast editor. And not because I do like writing, but I recently earned a master's degree, and it had nothing to do with anything audio, but I'm a little burned out on writing because that's like all I freaking do.
It's a lot.
But because I think that like a quality edit can improve the story that you are trying to tell in your podcast, right? Like whatever it is, right? Like, are you telling a personal story? Are you telling a story about your business? Whatever. And so like to me, like using that line makes absolute sense. And I recently had somebody kind of come at me like, hey, if you're not focused on writing, if you're not writing scripts, if you're not whatever, then like it's not fair for you to call yourself that. And I like in the moment I was kind of like, this was like a face-to-face conversation. So I was kind of like, deer in the headlights, like, oh my gosh, right? Like I had no clue how to respond. And now I've had a few days to kind of, because this has been pretty recent, to kind of process it and think, right, like how we are talking about this whole space,
Yeah.
right? Like what makes sense to one person doesn't make sense to another person, and we're still trying to build like a shared vocabulary around this whole thing. And so like, what do you call yourself and what's the career trajectory, right? Like there's not
It's
clear
so
answers
crazy,
for any
though.
of it.
Yeah, but it's so crazy because it's like story is kind of subjective. So for like, I make a podcast that has nothing to do with my business or podcasting. And so I do a podcast about cancer and about young people who have had cancer. And it is very I call it story based because it is, I tell my story, like I share my experience, and my guests do as well. So that kind of like, podcasting is an audio narrative, and it doesn't have to mean like you're telling a fiction story or whatever.
Right.
It naturally lends itself to a story arc in a way, because you'll introduce yourselves, you'll talk about, might be an issue or a topic, you'll get to the middle bit, and then you'll end. So structurally, it is a story.
Right. Right. Like whether it's scripted or
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the bigger issue that I'm having in my head right now that I'm trying not to leap out and slap whoever that was that had that argument with you, Rachel, is why are we judging each other on this? Their story is like okay, there's air, water, food, story. Like we are human beings who naturally thrive on stories. How can you say to someone that's not a story? Like what? Why are we judging each other? It's hard enough to put yourself out there in a vulnerable way. And I don't care what anybody says, interviews, monologues, everything we do in podcasting is a vulnerable state. And to have somebody else attack you and say that's not enough is to call yourself X, Y, or Z is total bullshit. Sorry, but that's ridiculous. We need to support each other at minimum, not disrupt each other. Like don't do harm, what doctors say, don't do harm. Okay, start there and get nicer.
Yeah.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Was not what I was expecting, that's for sure. But
no,
I don't know.
You need to cull that person out of your life. You don't need that negativity.
Yeah. No, we have parted ways, and we will keep our ways parted.
Yeah. But I do see that. I do see us and by us, I don't actually mean us. I mean audio folks. I do see some folks intentionally restricting themselves and wanting other people to give them rules and guidelines and things that would, and I understand you can get drunk with possibility and it could be uncomfortable. But on the other hand, don't do that to other people. Like if you want your own restrictions, create them, but don't put it on other people. Like, it's an open space, and as infuriating and confusing as that can be, it's not for you to change other people's experience in it. Okay, let's spend a little bit of time on the technical part. I forgot to do this at the beginning. Can we go around and just quickly mention which technology, which like DAWs specifically, do we use? Because I love talking about DAWs. So I use Hindenburg mostly, Audacity a tiny bit, although less and less with time, and Reaper for video editing. Helen, what do you use?
I am very similar. I use Hindenburg, and I use RX ISO Tape 8. I don't know what it's called, but it's fantastic. for
Yeah.
getting rid of reverb. So, and also Descript. I am a very visual person, and so I think just with the way my brain works, it makes it a lot easier for me to see and hear the audio
Yeah.
at the same time
Mhm.
to be able to get the edit I want. And I'm slowly letting go of Audacity. Like I've got a real soft spot for Audacity because we actually used it
Yeah.
in a radio station I worked at, and so it's just. But it's slowly being, put to rest.
Yeah. Me too. It just, I've had it crash. I used to have it crash on me all the time, and that's why I looked for another DAW.
Yeah.
But I have such a soft spot for it because I've used it for years, and there's
So-
things I can only do in there still that I can't do elsewhere,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh.
just it's hard to leave your first DAW. Rachel.
Yeah. So I use Adobe Audition primarily. I've recently started using Descript for like just audio transcription.
Mm.
Because I'm the same way, right? Like, although now that I'm glad that you shared, Helen, that you can like look at the words and do the edit
Yeah.
at the same time. And I'm like, do I need to transition over? Because that sounds fantastic. But yeah, I like Audition. I mean, it has just a ton of tools, but my so my client where I actually make some money off of it is it's a US based podcast called Life After the Uniform that helps folks who are in the armed forces like successfully transition out of military life.
Yeah.
But my client there, she always comes with notes, like timestamps of where she wants, things taken out. And then I give it like another listen to get rid of like, the ums and ahs and whatever. But so like editing and multi-track is really helpful for me to take those chunks out.
Yeah.
Without but keep like the whole like WAV file static. Like it's not just getting shortened all the time and messing with the timestamps. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I experimented with Adobe Audition last year, and I want to like it, but it is overwhelming. The options visually, it's my favorite DAW. But the options on it were so much, the learning curve and the options were so vast that I found myself just not getting stuff done. And a lot of times I just need to hit deadlines. So I ended up going with Hindenburg, which I love. And it's taking away a lot of some of the control that I could have with Audition. But for now, it feels like a really good intermediary that I'll probably stay with for quite a while.
Well, and it's expensive too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
you do
really
need
expensive.
fast
Yeah.
internet. That's very reliable because it's cloud-based and it's monthly and there's a lot. But visually, it is by far my favorite. It looks beautiful. It looks simple, and then it isn't. but I love it. At some point, I'd like to add it to the repertoire because I like playing with the different DAWs. So I think I'll just keep collecting them like friends. But but I'm gonna need a little while before I go back to Audition because that was hard. I got really far behind in what I was trying to do because I was like, let's play. Oh no, let's produce. No, that's not happening. So I have mad respect for people that can actually get things done in Audition. Are there any things that you've any tiny successes that you've had in your DAWs recently? Like any things that you've learned or not workflows, but any little things that you've started to do, whether they be keyboard shortcuts or any technical small things that have made your productions easier, better, faster? That sounds like a song. Easier, better, faster.
Better, faster,
Easier,
DAW.
better, And I'll share one while you're thinking. On a previous Global Live Chats, somebody mentioned De-Reverberate, which is a plugin that works in Hindenburg.
Yes.
And I've been using it. I haven't actually looked up. I have a habit of using things and then backtracking and looking how you're supposed to use them. So I'm playing with it right now, and even just turning it on makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And there's knobs and things, and I'm playing with those. But generally, I'll just turn it on, hear a difference, and leave it at there. And I need to do more research and learn how to use it. But it is amazing. It's doing
Mhm.
things that I have not heard Isotope do. It's doing things that I've not heard other things do in a more simple fashion. So I'm really liking it. But anyway, that's my technical joy lately. Helen, Rachel, any?
Is that different to the one that is on RX? So because that has a
Yes,
reverb.
it's a different company, different plugin.
Oh wow! Because the one on RX is amazing as well. Like just the improvement it makes. So I'd love to know. Like, is it different to it? Do you think it's better or?
I find it a lot easier. The workflow within Isotope, and I'm going to put it in the de-reverberate. Sorry, I can't type and speak at the same time. I just put it in the chat room. I find the workflow for Isotope, although it's similar to other effects workflow where you have to like do the learn and then the apply thing, I find that really distracting and sort of backwards from how my brain thinks. And with
Yeah.
this plugin, it works within Hindenburg and you literally turn it on and turn knobs.
Oh wow!
And so
Yeah,
I just find
'cause-
it like super easy. And I find I can hear the difference. Whereas when I'm doing reverberation stuff in Isotope, I can't hear it. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or it's not significant enough or I don't know what's happening, but I can't hear the difference. So for
Oh,
me,
wow.
it works.
Yeah.
It's a better user experience for me.
Yeah, because RX I think can be quite. It's not user friendly, but it has
Yeah.
some amazing. And I think especially for like the home podcaster, taking some of that reverb out and taking some of those clicks and that
The
sort of thing.
declicks and the noise, not profiler, but the noise.
Yeah, like
thing.
and
Yeah.
for me, like the de-essing, because I'm like a snake. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Here is Helen, the snake.
Yeah, so I get a bit crazy after 9 p.m, so don't mind me. I'm actually cool. I'm going to look into that because I love de-reverb and RX, and I love Hindenburg. Actually, I love the watching the magic tool go across across the audio and just make it nice and level. And I think the noise reduction in Hindenburg is really good as well.
It is.
Yeah. So I think one of the things I changed recently was getting rid of I guess cutting out the Audacity step, because I was explaining to someone my process and they're like, why do you put it in Audacity and do this?
Because their noise reduction's good. But the noise reduction in Hindenburg, like even going, like Transom suggests you start at the fourth, like there's a knob with dots and you start at the fourth dot. I find I have a client that records her intro on her iPhone, which generally is good, but there's a little static on it. So I just go to 5 or 6 on the knob and it gets rid of all the static just like that.
Huh.
And I'm like, I should tell her, please stop doing that. Use your mic. But I'm like, it works. And I'm here to save her time, not make her be more complicated. So I'm like, no, I can do it. Hindenburg does it. So yeah, I think that's a really good thing. Rachel, what's one thing that you've?
So this is definitely a lot less technical than you guys, but so I do a lot of editing and multi-track in Audition. But when you cut things out, the segments stand apart, so it's like
yes.
And this is so simple, but it's made a giant difference. I recently figured out that you can in fact merge all those separate clips into like a single thing, and that has saved me just like a ton of time, because then I'm not trying to make sure that the little separate chunks are like overlapping. And anyway, that's been a big win for me.
Rachel, that's huge, because when you do have the separate clips and you move things and you forget to capture everything, it throws it off and you've got hours of stuff to realign it. So that is huge. And that's one of the things in Hindenburg I haven't mastered yet, because every time I tried to do it, you could only merge once, if I understand right. Like you can't do it multiple times. And
I
then
just
I just
yeah.
stopped because it was like, well, I can't do it once. Do you know how much time I spend tearing this thing apart? And then I was like, I need to merge every 5 minutes, not once. So it's one of the things that's not great in Hindenburg.
Yeah.
But you can, Rachel, you can do that
Yeah.
like as many times as you want in Audition.
Yeah.
See, that's beautiful. Yeah. That's very
Yeah.
cool. That's huge. That should
So-
be one of the first things I think that is taught. It's like cut, copy, cut, delete, merge. That should be one of the first things that's taught, because misalignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, and I think now, so I'm curious, and this is a little bit outside of the, right, like what are our big wins with the technical? Because definitely I'm a lot like you, where like I'll play around with stuff and then I'll go back and figure out how you're actually supposed to do the thing. Is that my sense anyway, is that like a lot of us are kind of self-taught, right?
Yeah.
You don't like take a class where it's like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So I know, is that a correct assumption or impression?
There's
Rather,
there's a lot
know
of
what I
different
mean?
camps. No, that's a great question. From what I'm hearing, there's people that are self-taught. There's a lot of us in the freelance and small business podcast editing space, but there's also radio folks coming in. There's audio engineers coming in. There's trying to think of the other big groups. So there's like media people coming into the podcasting space. And there's also musicians. There's a fair number of musicians that I'm meeting that are coming into, because they've already got the ear part of it and part of the technical part, and so they're coming into the podcast editing space. So there's people from different aspects of audio coming into the podcast editing space. But I think there are a fair bit, especially independent podcasters, that like doing the editing part, and people start asking them, oh, you do a podcast, can you do this for me? Which is what happened to me, actually. I was like looking for a full-time job, and I accidentally started doing this as a side gig 2 years ago, and then it just like well, after a long period of actually trying, then it went but anyway. But yeah, so there's a lot of different folks coming in. And I think that's why the confusion that we talked about the roles and things are sort of different, because we're all speaking different languages to each other about the same thing.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've come from media, and so I have a journalism and radio production background, but also self-taught, because although I put together audio for radio news bulletins and that sort of thing, it was kind of relearning Audacity, but then sort of learning other things. And I wonder whether part of that disconnect really is, I guess, for an independent podcaster, it is a little bit rip, shit, and bust. It's sort of put it all together and that sort of thing. And then, when you come from like a media background, or radio can be a bit throw it together, but also there is that that editing and kind of those multiple levels of like news editors and stuff that you go through. So I guess, and also like music engineers and things, or audio engineers, were all coming in from these places that have different expectations and ideals and stuff into a space that is like has no rules at all.
And I think sometimes when I talk to folks who are from a more, should I say, rigid industry perspective, that sounds mean. I don't mean it judgmental, but there is more of a structure when it's a big business. So when I talk to them, and they don't realize that there's the path in from independent podcaster to podcast editor to actual like business, like a small business and whatnot, or even a big business. They're floored that exists, that path in is there, and that there's so many of us doing that. And so it's kind of cool to see those, those moments of there's so many different camps of us in the same space, doing the same thing, talking about it differently and viewing it differently. And that's one of the things that I like to talk about on here. So I'm really glad you brought that up. So yeah. So if you're from one of those other spaces and you want to be represented in these chats, thank you for this lead in. Please
anytime.
Follow the link over in the wherever it is in the chat and in the video notes, so you can join us and tell us your perspective coming into the podcast editing space. Yeah, because it's vast and it's growing and it's changing. It'll be different tomorrow than it was today or yesterday. Than it is today was yesterday.
Yeah.
I can speak, I swear. But we're nearing the end of our time, and I've loved where we have gone in this. I'm going to try to do my quickest summary. We talked about, that was not English. I'm going to do a quick summary, and then we'll go into where people can find you. We talked about finding clients and the pain of doing that and discovery calls. We talked about sharing vocabulary from the different folks that are coming into the podcasting space and how we talk about and view what is possible and what should be possible and how to stop shoulding each other creatively. We also talked about the technical tips and different ways that we explore technology and the DAWs and all kinds of stuff in that side of things. And most importantly, Helen, where can people find you online?
For my business, I sort of lurk two places. I'm a lurker. That's a fabulous thing when you're a lurker is journalism. It taught me to be a professional lurker. I can find anyone on the internet, which isn't creepy at all. So that was a tangent.
I love your sense of humor.
So Instagram is at HKProductions_podcast, or also more professionally on LinkedIn. I share a lot more on there, and just search for Helen King. I'm in Auckland, New Zealand. And also, if you are someone impacted by cancer, whether it's as a younger person or someone in your family, I also have a very lively Instagram page of the C-word _radio.
Awesome. Rachel?
Thank you. So I am on Twitter quite a bit. You can find me there at RAHansen10. And really about a variety of things, not just podcast editing. I find it's a good place to, if my kids do something weird, I will often share it there. So if you, and I've got 3, so there's a lot of weird. And I love them. But so if you just need like a little laugh, like a weird kid story, you can find me on Twitter. My website is Rachel Edits, and that's RACHEL.co. And then you can also find me on LinkedIn, talking about a variety of things, because my day job is in public higher education. So I've got a lot of pots.
Yeah, multi-passionate creative is my favorite term in the world. It's like, we don't need to apologize for being multifaceted. We are amazing. So Podcast Editing Plus, which is the name for many confusing things that I lump all together, including the global online podcast editing community that I'm spreading around in different places to grab as many people as possible, which includes the newsletter that I'm putting over in the chat room, and these chats and the podcast that will eventually get back into the world. And by eventually, I mean by next week. And and so many other aspects. Our private LinkedIn group, which is growing, yay, and all kinds of different things. It's also where what I term my podcasting services, which start with but do not end with podcast editing, thus the plus. As things grow, so are the services, and I'm sick of rebranding. So the plus is there as my catch-all. Thank you so much, Helen and Rachel, for joining us, and thank you to everybody that's going to view this afterwards in whatever form that you're consuming it in. We'd love to hear from you. Check the show notes or video notes for ways to get in contact with us, even if it's just to say, I love what you said. We love hearing it. This is a very silent medium, whether you're the podcaster or the podcast editor. So any and all feedback is very much so welcome. Again, even if it's just 3 words, those 3 words mean a lot. Oh, And the 3 words could be, I love you, but not in a creepy way. People, keep it nice. Any final thoughts or words or things you'd like to say to folks, Helen or Rachel?
Oh,
I would just say thank you so much for having me. This was a great way to spend what is often an anxiety-riddled hour for me in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Rachel started at 2 a.m., which thank
Yeah.
you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
lot.
I really am glad to be here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah,
any
yes,
final
thank you so much. It has been delightful, and I'm so glad that I could hear my dog snoring before, so I hope that doesn't sort of make the mix, or that my background
don't
hasn't
hear him.
fallen over, so I feel like I can breathe easy.
My background includes a bed, and I was
Yeah.
convinced I needed to do this for the entire time so you couldn't see it. But you know what? Forget it.
I mean, I've got a
Yeah.
garbage bag back here, so
Oh, I didn't even see it. See, that's the thing. I think people are just focused on us, so they don't see that, but we see that, and it's just
Yes.
bleh, F perfection. That's what I say. Anyway, Helen and Rachel, stick around for 1 second. Everybody else, thank you so much. Do reach out to us and let us know that you're here. Okay, bye.